Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb number 2 by Murokumo Comics, otherwise known as Keung Lee's company. Anyhow, for those of you who remember, I did the first Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb a while back. It was a pretty popular video. I think a lot of people liked it. Also, it helps that the covers are a bit clickbaity. So when I make my standard thumbnail, I think a lot of people want to know what's going on. But anyhow, this is it. This is the premiere edition. You can tell because it's got the numbering right here. So this was 716. And here's Keung Lee's signature. But anyway, I forgot to say, here's the stuff that came with it. So I got a pack of trading cards. Let's see what cards I get here. Wrap it up. So yeah, just a bunch of really nice art right here of the characters, and also the Battle Maiden's new costume, or Saya's new costume, I should say. I don't know if she's actually going by that name yet. And then it comes with 2 prints as well. So here's an advertisement for, I think, his club, which is pretty interesting. And then here is the 2 prints right here. You got this print. Who drew this? Illustration by Oren Sakai. So Oren Sakai did both of these because this is not Kyung's style. And then another cool thing that it comes with is this standee. I actually haven't opened this yet, so I'll just kind of leave it alone. I'm not really into these things, so I might just flip this because I will be getting the standard edition, which you saw in the previous review, which, by the way, is available on Indiegogo right now. So you're probably asking, what's the difference between this premiere edition and the one that's on Indiegogo right now? Well, the one on Indiegogo right now is on newsprint. It's also about half the price. I think on the Indiegogo it's only $15, and this is a 64-page comic book, so it's a big chunk of stuff going on here. So for those of you who missed out on this one, I recommend checking out the Indiegogo, and if you're trying to save some money, the standard edition is really good. I actually prefer the newsprint to the cardstock that Keung uses in this book. But this book is still pretty awesome, and definitely a joy. So anyway, let's get into it. When we last left off, Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb left us on a bit of a cliffhanger, which again, in the early days of my reviews, especially for these Indiegogo comics, I was a lot more forgiving of cliffhangers, I would say. And now that I've gotten into this one, now I know what Keung Lee is trying to do. So what Keung Lee is trying to do is he's basically turning this into a standard manga right now, which means that it is a bit slow paced, but because he packages this as 64 pages, you are essentially getting what would be equivalent to 3 weeks or a month worth of manga in Japan if you're trying to go one-to-one with, say, the Weekly Shonen Jump. But he moves at a quicker pace than standard manga, so what I will say right here is the fight that you saw in the previous issue, it does get resolved. So this is Breacher and Saya. They were in the middle of a fight last time. So in this one, and by the way, Keung does a lot of caption boxes, and they're pretty good. He flourishes a bit right here. I will say this, I think he needs to be aware that any one of these issues could be the first issue of anyone reading Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb. So as a key point, when you open up, the caption boxes kind of describing and adding a little more flavor to what's going on is nice, but really he needs to reestablish what's going on. So catch the reader up. And this is the case in both manga and comic books, right? They do it 2 different ways, but he could do either an intro page, like right here there's a lot of open space. He could have like the character things right here, like One Piece or a bunch of other manga does that all the time. Or he could just do a Chris Claremont thing where he kind of catches them up through caption boxes throughout here. He's already got the room to do it, right? This is only a 3-panel structure, so a big splash page to get you interested right here. Obviously, big, manga speed lines, big manga sound effects, hot girl on the ground screaming in pain. You want to flip this open, right? So we get further into it, and while she's getting the crap kicked out of her, this is kind of where Keung does some of the introductions as best as he could. Again, he's only allowing the dialogue balloons right here, so Breacher is kind of talking a lot and somewhat catching you up in their own way while she's shit talking Saya. And Saya's on the ground. She brings up the scarf, which belonged to her uncle, who died in the previous issue. So this awakens her power, and she goes full manga and kicks the living shit out of Breacher right here. This is really cool speed lines right here. Really nice. Boom. Big smash. Yeah, you got to have these big smashes right here. This is, yeah, this is manga, baby. American manga, I should say. Anyhow, I like this. I would have loved to see like the animation of her actually flying across this forest. I think that would have been really cool here. But you get the gist as Breacher is basically impregnated into a freaking tree. And then during this time, like, you think that she's going to finish off Breacher, but instead she goes off to try to save a bunny, but she's only able to save one of them. And then she has sort of her heroic resolve at this point that, you know what, I'm not going to kill you. I'm better than that. I'm going to go and try and bring goodness to the world, right? So very American in that instance, right? So you have like the manga style action, but you have an American hero kind of story here. Which kind of makes sense because we're kind of in a fantasy, fictional Southern California. So in a way, Keung's kind of like having some fun with little bits of reality and little bits of fantasy as he's going here. So we introduce these kids, and they're kind of playing around, and we get a reintroduction to Joe from the previous issue, who's a friend of Saya's. And Saya is obviously very different from the previous issue when she was first introduced, mainly because she was put into a test tube and given like a bunch of powers, and it made her extraordinarily muscular and kind of grow. And it's when Joe re-meets up with her, he kind of realizes like, what the hell? A little bit of perverted humor here too, here and there. So anyway, let me jump ahead. Keung kind of then moves on to introduce the bad guys, which are the people behind the sort of crazy laboratory pharmaceutical company that she just broke herself out of. So the same group as Breacher, right? So you're introduced to Bliss, Sao, Lady Septima, Belphegor, and this dude right here, this priest-looking bro, Mephistopheles. Long names. Just call him Mephisto. Anyhow, while he's doing bad guy things, it's a little bit, he introduces these bad guys, but it's not really explained what they're up to. That's kind of left as a bit of a mystery. But he does show them who they are and that they're the bad dudes. And he showcases his magic, which summons this crazy witch queen of the abyss, Rusalka. She actually kind of reminds me of, for those of you who are Berserk fans, a little bit of the, oh god, what's the freaking, I think it's Slat or something like that. The one of the female god hand that's basically always naked and rated R. So Joe takes her over to her dad's place where they run some tests on her, or I should say Saya. So this is a lot of like manga backstory stuff going on. It's kind of moving a bit, not necessarily slow, but Keung's having a lot of fun here. Which, to be fair, for the 64 pages you get, and this is why I recommend for those of you guys who aren't 100% sure about if you would be into this, I recommend picking up the standard edition, which you can either get on Indiegogo or his Etsy. Keung Lee runs an Etsy shop, so you can buy directly from him. And I think you get a discount, too, off of the newsprint edition. You'll save a ton of money, and it's just, honestly, even though I'm a big manga fan, I think a lot of other people would get into this, just because it has just a pinch enough of American comic book fun that I think even non-manga fans would really enjoy this. So, a little bit of slice of life stuff. Whoops! Run this down. And then we jump over, and she's in the training room, in the danger room, basically training all her powers. You get an explanation of how her powers work, which is pretty nice. And also some humor as they design her suit to be very suggestive. Keung having a lot of fun right here. And, the baddies show up in the neighborhood, so things are going south real fast here. He also gets some underground crime stuff right here with this lady kicking the crap out of these bad guys. So I'm going to move in fast right here, but don't want to spoil too much of this book. What I will say about it is it's very action-packed, and I will say the structure is a little weird because what you're going to find is he completes the first chapter, basically ends the story from the previous book, and then the second chapter restarts a brand new story and leaves you on a cliffhanger again. So it's kind of weird. You have to kind of, if you get used to the pacing of I'm going to have the previous story completed in this book and then a brand new story start right in the middle of it, it's actually a great setup, and I don't mind it. I do think it's definitely looking like it's more geared to being a big book, and this is why I do recommend, for those of you who just want to try it out, I recommend getting the book off of Keung Lee's Etsy shop. It's very affordable, and honestly, I love newsprint. Nothing against this hard cardbound stuff, but that's what I particularly like. I'm wondering if he's going to keep that format, because I think that format works a lot. Because then you always know a story is going to get finished and then a new adventure is going to begin. So, you know, in a way, when you're reading through this thing, you're kind of seeing a story evolve. Whereas if he goes like full Shonen Jump, where it takes like, 50 chapters to resolve something, I don't know how well that's going to work with how long it takes to get these books out. So I think if he keeps up with this Japanese style, but with more of an American structuring, a little more compressed, I think Keung Lee is going to be very, very successful. But I don't know. We'll have to see. So far, I like it. You get the fight here where Joe goes into action. He's actually a cop, and he's off duty, but he comes in to save his buddy's friend. His buddies right here. And I like how this scene right here is really great. So the bad guy tosses a car at Joe, and Joe's like, "Oh shit!" And Saya jumps in right there. Kyung. I like it a lot. Flying atomic elbow drop. Yeah. I think this would have been really cool if he actually would have drawn her smashing through the car. There's nothing against this. I still like this, but I think it would have been even cooler to see that. But I want to see like freaking legend right here. So for those of you who have a little more knowledge of what's going on in California, freaking Kyung, you're a legend. Yeah, so so she ends up getting into a fight with this dude, and they go at it. During this time, she's unable to break this guy because he's kind of like a zombie. And in the middle of the fight, some chick kind of showcases her weakness, and Saya is able to break open the golem right there. So you're introduced to another character that is mysterious in the background that we're not going to find out till later. And then Rusalka apparently summons a Final Fantasy summon. She summons Shiva. And this is kind of left as a teaser going into the next issue right here. You get some nicer stuff and some advertisements from Kyung right here. So what do I think? I think this book has an interesting format. I think I see what Kyung is going to try to do here, and we'll see if my hypothesis is correct in the third issue. If what he's going to do is basically kind of be in between the pacing of manga and comics, and then do these 64 pagers, which are basically, so 64 pages seems a lot in American comics, but you got to remember that most manga will not finish a storyline in like less than like 5 to 10 chapters, which is basically like 200 pages, right? So if he kind of maintains a pace where he's able to close out storylines in his 60 to 80 pages in between each issue, and then he offers issues both in the the premium ones if you want to support him for a lot of money. So this is the standard Indiegogo Comicsgate price with all the goodies and everything, so $25. But if you want to save some money, he always runs a campaign afterwards where he does it for less, for $15. And then if you really just want only the book, if you really wait for a while, he'll have a copy of the standard edition on his Etsy page, and that one will be even less than $15. So If he continues with this, I think Keung Lee's going to keep growing, you know, and I think from a storytelling perspective, I think he just has to either tighten up or maintain this pacing. I think it's going to be good, and just remember to always remind the reader what the setting, what the characters are, what the conflict is, especially in the beginning of the book, just because not everybody is going to necessarily remember what happened in the previous book. And you want to kind of seamlessly reintroduce the reader back into the world and back into the story. And I think that's going to help them a lot with this. Otherwise, I mean, it's just a fun comic. A lot of manga type stuff in here. So if you're a fan of that, this is a no-brainer. But even if you're not, and maybe you're a fan of superheroes and wrestling, I would still strongly recommend Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb #2. So anyhow, let's get to some art, shall we? So, you're going to notice one big mistake. The big mistake was I forgot her gloves. So I started coloring this, and I just colored her fists, and then by the time I was in the middle of it, I was like, oh shit, they're supposed to be red, because she's got gloves on. So that was my bad. I goofed that one up. The other thing was, I don't know why I couldn't find the right shade of pink, or is this like a light purple, for her stockings, her bow, and her jacket. I did figure out how to create maroon with my Copic, so that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. The rest of it, it's not exactly on color, but it's what I could do with my standard Copic set. So it was a lot of fun. So this is pretty much a standard. I kind of gave her like a Chun Lee Street Fighter pose, just kind of looking at you, glaring at you. So not too bad. It was kind of fun. I think if I had to redo anything, I would definitely redo her skirt. I don't like the way I drew. I don't know how to draw like fabric. I really need to work on that. But overall, not too bad. Anyhow, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments on Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb #2 or my art or just all these goodies, leave it down below. And I will see you next time.